Uh, I guess I can start. Am I audible? So yeah. So hey everyone. Myself Swarnabha. I'm based out of India, and I manage the developer relations side of the DeFi Chain Labs, managing all the partnership side, all the community side, Discord side of the work, and all the things related to the tech and community. So yeah, we welcome you all to the tech call, and yeah, I will now pass it to Prasanna. So yeah.
All right, hey everyone, welcome to June. So this is our third one. All right, so June, I think we have a couple of packed June. I think there's going to be quite a lot of stuff that'll get merged in. So we'll just jump on there. Just a second. Something was screen. All right. Okay. So we'll start with some of the ongoing work. So Peter's not here, so I'll cover for this and just go in a little bit more in depth. So new algorithm for calculate owner rewards that's currently in the works. Yeah, first off, layer 0, there's really nothing to update at the moment. Layer 1, which is where higher level details. So calculate owner rewards is a new algorithm that's being at work. There's a PR there, we're testing it. I'll just dig in a little bit after covering the general ones. Pushing API, that's still in progress. Jeremy will cover that a little bit later. And then trace transaction, there's still no update from last time. But still, we have not gotten the time to investigate a blockchain stall that's happening. So hopefully, once some of the larger stuff is in, then that's something that this month we should definitely aim to get that in. Yeah, so that'll be the key work set, and then the other one is that will be the snapshots that should also be ready. That expect that will actually get merged this week. Okay, so that should be the high-level details on the tech. I'll jump into this a little bit more. Before that, operations side, it's going to be tons of stuff. Operations side as well. Future swap limits, we'll be planning to enable it tomorrow. So that should kick in once until the limits until the chain actually gathers the data for that, the limit won't be set in. I believe it's 7 days. So once we set it in, first 7 days there'll be no limits, and then after that it'll start kicking in. Let me just check on Discord as to what was the expected one from DFIP, but I think that's 7 days. And then we'll also be adding in some of the new tokens that was all pending for the hard fork and some of the infra-related stuff now that it's all settled. So this as well, we expect to be adding it in subsequently tomorrow and the after tomorrow. So we're going to be adding IBET that's been pending for a very long time, along with the rest of the stuff. So we're planning to do all of this in the coming week. Then the bigger chunk operations-related item that's relevant quite technically for everybody is first token split after, I think it's been more than 8 months, I think. So first token split, which is going to be NVIDIA. And there are a couple of other token splits pending, but we applied multipliers on the Oracle side. But we're not touching that at the moment because still people who are already using that token will have to adapt. And now on EVM, they should be ready as well. So we decided to do it for any NVIDIA is straight up, since that's a new split and is just going forward alongside the split, everybody can adapt to it as needed. So how the split going to work? It's going to be very similar to last time. On the actual split happens on June 8th, which is on the weekend, so it's after Friday's market closure. So oracles would have already been just sending Friday's data by that point in time. So we don't need to do anything during the weekend, which is good news. And so starting Monday Singapore time, so before the US market actually opens and new oracles start to adapt, we'll set the lock for it. And so then a couple of hours later, and well ahead of the market actually opening, the on-chain split will actually happen. And then we're giving it about 24 hours because it's the first split after EVM. So we want to do a little bit more manual verification. So for the first one, the tokens will be in a frozen state. What does tokens in a frozen state mean? You were able to send tokens, that should be unaffected. However, everything else related to the token, including will be frozen during the block period. So yeah, there's that, and then scheduled. Sorry, this should be June. Yeah, just update these titles as well. Okay, so during June 11 early Singapore time. So we'll aim to, once we've verified it, I expect that it'll actually be done early, but just so that everybody can have a large enough time frame with a good buffer, we're aiming to resolve everything in about 24 hours. The block numbers are not here because we want to be a little bit, we want to be quite accurate with it. So we want to do it closer to time. But we'll keep updating the block numbers here for people who want to follow. So that should be on the split. Okay, now just getting a bit into calculate owner rewards. What's actually happening there is, let's see, is my screen not changing? Okay, I think my screen is not changing. Here. Yeah, so this is the PR that Peter has been working on. So Peter's not in at the moment, so I'll just touch on the details of what's being done. Okay, yeah, Peter has actually documented the whole chunk. So calculate owner rewards is the largest in terms of hotspot during a block processing. Even with UVM, it's still one of the, it's still a very big chunk. So I believe Kugi had pointed out it can be actually redo this algorithm. For a very long time, we didn't want to touch it because it touches various different points, and we didn't want to do it while we have any other hard fork in place, hard fork network related upgrades in place. So now that it's all done, this could be very impactful from a performance point of view. So this is done. Peter has already tested it, but the calculations will change. There will be some minor differences in calculations, which is the reason that we didn't want to do it before. So after the whole hard fork block, they'll be fractional, so nothing in particular for anybody to be worried about. And the precision also will increase beyond this. There might even be a little bit more beyond the Satoshi mark that will be there in rewards, but yeah, it should be significant enough. However, beyond that, the way that we're going to be testing it, we still don't have data on the actual performance metrics, how good it is, but we definitely expect that it's going to be better. That's the reason we decided to go ahead with it. But later this week or by next week, we'll have more data, and then we will start merging it in. All right, so that should be the full reward related one. Then what do we have? Yes, so then we also have the snapshot on each block. This is also something that's been pending for a long time. We'll merge it this week. What this means is this current PR doesn't really change anything related to RPCs. So ultimately what the PR does is each of the RPCs that are read-only, that doesn't really write to the database, it will now use a 11dB snapshot, and it'll provide the data from the point of a snapshot. So why it's good is that now you no longer have to lock for read-only data. We can just spin up in parallel these snapshots, and then parallel requests can continue to serve during that phase in time, which is great for infrastructure-related projects. So what it's going to happen is once a PR is merged, then we're going to go through another round of testing. Then we will start enabling the RPCs to use the snapshot. This just sets the foundation, but does not. RPCs don't really use snapshot. Once this PR is merged in, then the RPCs will actually use the get view snapshot function instead of actually going to the live database, which is constantly changing, for which we need love. So yeah, this subsequently, the next couple of weeks, expect that now that this is well tested, it's basically just going to go in. Then we'll add up everything. So all of these, expect that it's going to start going in the coming week. These are all been pending for the last couple of 1 to 2 months. Yep, so that should be the large chunk. And then, yep, I think we can hand over to Jeremy. So 1 second, let me see if there's anything else that I need to touch on. Now, this month, I think that should be all. And so I've also started creating an infrastructure list. So this is more to come this month, a little bit later. Basically, most of the infra work is being redone, but as it gets done, we'll slowly open up the infrastructure for, very likely the CIs will open up first. So the CIs for testing, the CIs for sync, all of that will have an open infrastructure, so people can actually have visibility on it, and they can, if you want to deploy it on your own, you can experiment and deploy on it as well. So subsequently, we'll also do the same thing for Scan and Ocean. So the goal is in the next quarter, or hopefully sooner, we slowly have more of these that people can compute. All right, I think that should be it. Jeremy, all yours.
Hey guys. Okay, so it will be a short update on my side. So I'm mostly working on merging the trace transaction in, taking over the Niven's work on trace transaction. The thing is, we still have the issue where using the trace transaction, at some point we create a state mismatch between the EVM and the DVM. And it's still an ongoing investigation. So I managed to isolate a block range, and I will focus on this and try to work out in the code, but I cannot isolate a TX yet or something like this that I would be replaying, which would help. So I will work both ways. I will try to isolate some more and still try a few things on this block range as well. So this is ongoing work. It could be unblocked this week. Hopefully, if I manage to find the right issue. Otherwise, it can be ongoing because it's a big amount of work. And this is not something we can partially merge. It's either we merge it or we don't, because it creates too much. It's too risky state-wise down the line. So that's what I will be focusing on myself. And we ended up merging most of the Ocean work. So all of the Ocean API and the indexing is in the feature of Ocean Archive branch. So this should be running. We'll be running it on a public VM by this week, and we'll open it up to the community to test it out. We'll run a DeFi scan on top, try to catch a few. I expect a few types errors still that can create a bit of instability, but it's small changes to do, and it shouldn't be long to fix it. So we can start merging Ocean work by the end of this week or next week, I reckon. And that's about it on my side. All right,
thanks, Jeremy. So I think this month is going to be technically pretty packed. So we're going to have all of these. Once Ocean is in, then people from the community, if you're there, if you're running it, if you're actually running Ocean, that would be a good point. I think we'll share the short note once the PR is merged in. Well, that'll be the critical point to start testing. That testing, we want to do it for a while before we start shifting the infrastructure. So we'll do A to B, and then slowly we'll do the shifting, because all of the Ocean data is pretty critical. Many people depend on it, so it's just going to be a slow process. Meanwhile, we would also like to set up a CI for it, but I think it's going to be tough on our side. If somebody from the community wants to take it up, that's actually that'd be a great isolated small project. Essentially a CI that can just compare all of the Ocean data sets. Basically, all APIs, just run it, do a full diff. So between the two, that'll be great. Eventually, we'll have it at some point, but at the moment, just for the next month, if any help we can get, would be great. Okay. Is there anything else that anybody wants to cover before we jump into questions? Fred, anything else that you want to cover?
Nothing in particular. I think we covered the key things, which is the DFV, the stock split, as well as the token reallocation of rewards. So all's good.
Yeah, sounds good. So the stock split, if anybody's running Masternodes, just take note that if you can upscale it, it'll help for you to upscale it. It's going to happen next Monday, so we'll provide the block dates very close to it. But just keep in mind that Masternodes are going to slow down for that one block. All right, so that's it. I will jump on to some of the questions that we've already gotten. I'll just touch on that, and then we'll open it up to the community. So one first question was any insights on the complexity and possible timelines for one of the new governance ones. Let me just pull that out so people can see it. All right, so it's going to be for this one. This is it's a fairly large proposal, so I won't go into the details of the proposal. But essentially, long story short, it proposes a reset of token systems in many different ways. So technical complexity of that we'll get to a little bit later. But because I think it's actually extremely complicated to do it on the native side on so many different pieces. However, the thing that I would really encourage is, can we do this on the EVM side? This is the whole reason that we built EVM. So more and more of the economy aspect of things can be on the EVM side. So I would actually encourage to think of it as, can we just recreate this new one on the EVM side? So until then, we continue to manage this, and then from the core team side, we can figure out how can we connect between the EVM side and how do we do this migration of. I think that'll be the more. I think that'll be the best thing for, personally, I think that'll be the best thing for the ecosystem as a whole. So this means things can be iterated quickly on EVM side without having to rely on the core team. And we can focus more on speeding up the chain and the other aspects that we want to do while also lightening up the chain. So that would be what I would definitely push people who are already thinking about this, which is pretty great that there's been thoughts on this, but I won't go into the details of it. I think that they are pretty complex. If you already implement it on the native layer, it's gonna take quite a while, simply because of the fact that it's going to involve every single subsystem, and we'll have to think about it on a. It's going to be, we have to be precise in every manner. So I would not recommend doing this on the native layer beyond the parts that we just need to do to associate it. What do I mean by association? I'll just touch on it a little bit. So there's a little bit more clarity on how I'm thinking about it. Essentially, what we can have is a contract that has the full economy. So for instance, native layer, I think the base things that is best to continue on as it is going to be the DEX. It's going to be the governance systems, right? And then basically the token system. Nothing else. Token system is system map, nothing else, right? So then if you have to redo many of the things related to Vault, if we can actually implement it on the EVM layer, so then on the native side, all we do is we build out a map which basically says Vault system is going to be contract this. And this is going to be controlled through a DFIP eventually. So it's essentially a list of maps which says which is the contract that maps to this core part of the DeFi chain module that's there today. So this way we can do vaults, and then the same way we can actually recreate all the new tokens there and then have a simplified DEX just for the new economy. And once we see everything in operation, then we can slowly graduate the DeFi chain side to say, hey, now it points to this contract. So this way we also really decentralize it a lot more, because multiple people can build multiple economies as well, iterate on it faster. So I think we could actually use this as a good starting point for where we actually want to be. That's what I would recommend. On the native layer, it's going to be, I don't want to get into the details of it, because I don't think we've also done a full analysis of what all it's going to take, but it's fairly quite involved. That's question number one. And then question number two was plans and dates for IBIT listing and reallocation. So I think we've already covered that. It's going to happen later today and tomorrow. So that should all be sorted by tomorrow. Then thoughts on reducing average block time to 20 seconds. Yes. So that's also the PR for that is also the same PR that's been open. That's also pretty much complete. We will wait for the larger performance chunks, which is going to be Owner Rewards revamp. as well as Ocean. Ocean is still a critical chunk. Once Ocean is there, once we've gotten it to a point where we have a baseline, then we'll start adding in block time to 20 seconds, and we can start testing that. Yep, that should be it. Fabio, I think we can maybe open it for the community if they have any other questions.
So if there are any questions, please feel free to drop them right here into Google Chat, or just raise your hand and come up on stage, or unmute your mic. Feel free to ask those questions right now. We can give it like 30 seconds to a minute for anybody to type or to unmute their mic, and otherwise I would pass the ball to Svanava to wrap it up.
Any updates regarding Atomic Swap? Atomic Swap, it's testing phase still. I don't think we've had enough. We've put in enough time to test it on MarkNet just yet. But yeah, so that I would also, depending on how confident the community is, then we can start looking at it once the large chunks are in. Right now, our focus is getting Ocean in. Once that's there, I think we can actually start picking it up, and yeah. Okay, if there are no other questions. Yep. Thanks, everyone. I'll leave it as soon as well.
I guess we can then wrap it up. And yeah, just a common note to join the Discord for everyone who is interested to be or ask any questions. Our developer Discord is free for any sort of question, and also the Telegram community. I guess Fabio can share the links as well. So yeah. Thanks everyone, I guess.
Okay, that's a wrap, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
See you next
Have a
month.
nice day. Bye.